She's a little bit taller than I am. Hello, my name is Eric Lynch, secondary social studies. So if there are any administrators here who need a social studies teacher, please see me after the show. Now, before I begin, on behalf of my entire class, I'd like to thank the School of Education faculty and staff. You've all done so much for all of us, and you're a big part of the reason of why we are so awesome. I'd also like to thank my parents, both of whom are educators and who have done an incredible amount of work raising me with a love for people and a love of learning. I also didn't tell them I was giving a speech tonight, so surprise. And what? I love you both. So. Last, but the absolute furthest thing from least, I'd like to thank my wife, Brianna, who has been an incredible support since day one. She's put an incalculable amount of time and energy into working while I was student teaching, keeping us fed and with a roof over our heads. She's my biggest fan, even when I don't deserve one, and my biggest critic when I absolutely need one. Thank you for all that you've done. I love you beyond words. So, like Linda said, I'm a post-baccalaureate student. For those of you who are unfamiliar with that term, all it means is that I couldn't figure out my life in 4 years, so I needed to go back for an extra 2. I'm from Escanaba, Michigan, and after high school, I attended the University of Michigan. Go Blue. I got to my sophomore year, and it was terrible. Academically, socially, emotionally, it just wasn't a good year. That summer, I did a lot of reevaluating of my life. I really didn't have a plan. I had no direction. I applied to Northern and came up here for a visit. I liked Northern. I liked the size, the people, the atmosphere, and I really, really missed the UP. But ultimately, after a decision-making process that lasted way too long, I decided to stay at U of M and finish my degree despite the difficulties I was facing. But something had changed. After that summer, I had a plan. I had a purpose. I had something I was working towards. I've been working with kids every summer since I was a junior in high school, and I finally realized how much I love it. I wanted to match that passion with my love of history, a subject that admittedly can be kind of boring sometimes. I wanted to learn as much as I could learn so I could be the best teacher I could be, making my students just as interested as I am, all while letting them know they have someone who truly cares about them. I didn't want to give up. I was going to graduate, get my degree, and then attend Northern and get my teaching certificate. Once I had this plan that I had set for myself, I finally had some motivation. In April of 2016, I graduated with a degree in history, and in the fall started in Northern Michigan University's teacher education program. And it's been an amazing, amazing journey. The teachers have been wonderful, the skills I've gained have been invaluable, and the experiences could not be duplicated anywhere else. I'm so incredibly grateful. That brings us to last semester, the fall of 2017. It was time to gear up for student teaching. Things were serious. We had our student-teacher orientation meeting on September 12th, filled out our top 4 choices, and then began waiting for our placements. I waited, and waited, and waited. I waited 3 months of stress-filled days until December 7th, leaving me with less than a month to prepare. I finally got my placement at Bothwell Middle School here in Marquette, and sorry, Bothwell peeps, it wasn't one of my 4 preferences. At that point, though, I didn't even care. I was just happy to have a home. And home is really the best way to describe it. The entire staff is amazing, and I was honored to be part of a marvelous teaching team. They all went above and beyond to make me feel welcome. And my cooperating teacher, much of my development as a teacher, I owe to him. Thank you all so much. On top of all that, my students are some of the sweetest, kindest, most amazing people I've ever met. When I remember them, my heart is full of joy, and that joy sometimes overflows out of my eyes too. My experience has been incredible. It wasn't my first choice, or my second, third, or 4th choice, but it ended up being the best choice. I wanted high school. I got middle school. But this whole process, my whole educational journey helped me realize something. You don't always get what you want, but you always get what you need. Simple, cheesy, cliche, whatever. It's true. Sometimes you're stuck, floating around with no direction or plan. but that lack of focus can make you wake up and explore the world around you. Explore your mind and your soul. Figure out what you want and what you need. Maybe you're stuck waiting for something you can't control. Welcome to life, and welcome to teaching. Don't give up. Don't quit, because that's not what we do, is it? We don't give up on ourselves, and we don't give up on our kids. I know some people might disagree with me, but I like to think of teachers as caregivers first, educators second, and that's basically my joke about why they call it secondary ed. Always remember that you are in that classroom for a reason. It might not be your first choice, or your second, or your third, or your fourth, but you have a purpose right where you are. Maybe you have the student who needs the worksheet read to her because that's what it takes for her to get it done. Maybe you have the student that you take to the gym to play catch with because his father is absent and he has no one else. Is it difficult? Absolutely. Are you conflicted about the students who have behavior issues, but you know that the only reason they do is because of their rough life at home? Good. You should be conflicted. Students are meant to challenge us. They're meant to make us think about why we went into this profession. Teaching can be summed up in the immortal words of Jedi Knight Qui-Gon Jinn from Star Wars Episode 1. May the Fourth be with you. Your focus determines your reality. Now, don't get me wrong. It's important, necessary even, to reflect on what went wrong and what you can do better. It's how we grow. But at the end of the day, when you go home, what will be your focus? Will it be everything that went wrong? Every behavior issue you couldn't manage, all the work you still need to get done? Or will it be the students who made you laugh? The students whose lives were positively impacted because you were there that day? Never forget that for some of these students, you might be the only person who loves them. Never forget why you chose this life. Never lose your focus, and above all, never lose your passion. Thank you.